BALTHVS.
Welcome back to All That Jam, where music has no limits. And I started to run the intro, but why don't we jump in with Hooterol? What were you saying about Hooterol there?
Oh, a seminal album that influenced my early psychedelic years as a young, rebellious person experimenting with life. And
Yeah.
I noticed 8 years ago that it wasn't in YouTube, and I had this YouTube channel called Cubensis Records, and you can still find it there. The version I like because there's many track orders. I think "Morning in Marine" is the best song to open the album,
Yeah.
and yeah, Howard Wales was too trippy for the dead, and that's a big statement right there.
Right. I tell you, it's my favorite out of everything Garcia ever put on record in a studio. It's my favorite studio work of his.
I agree. It's
It's brilliant.
psychedelic, it's jazz fusion, it's out there, man.
So much good stuff. There's a band called Taper's Choice that are kicking around the States these days. It's the drummer from Vampire Weekend. And they totally have that period, 72 to 74 Garcia down. You listen to it and you close your eyes, it'll take you back to that specific moment in time. So maybe get you guys together. That might be fun.
We always love pairing up with the Dead extended family, even though we
Yeah.
don't play the Dead ourselves, except for maybe a song, but still.
Right. You guys had a why don't we, since we're talking about Garcia, San Francisco, you had a couple things. You were at the, what's the name of that festival out there?
Outside Lands.
Outside Lands, and you also got on the radio out there while you were out there last year, huh? You want to talk a
Yeah.
little bit about that? I mean, that's pretty big steps there.
For me, it was as a young person, the whole what really changed my life was watching Woodstock at 17 on an early YouTube, and I was far out. And then you grow up and you go to another other musical avenues, but definitely going to the Bay Area for the first time was like I don't know, when a saint crosses the that pilgrimage in Spain, the Santiago, the path of Santiago, and arrives to the big church. It kind of felt like that. And we actually, I tell you this, we played our show in the Cornerstone in Berkeley. And after the show, I was like, it was like 1 a.m. And I was like, no, guys, I cannot go to the Airbnb. I gotta go to Haight Ashbury. I'm sorry. I know y'all are tired, but we gotta go to Haight Ashbury. And on we went at 1 a.m. in the morning, and off we go into the empty, rainy footsteps there in the hills. And we get to the house, and I just put Ripple on my phone and just reminisce in silence. And then the neighbors in 809 Haight Ashbury, which are all heads, they invited us in for a joint, and they've kept it as it's a museum, man. It's a time capsule from the 60s. The wood is old, and old stickers from 40 years ago, and the tie dyes and stuff. And some old heads are very, they were there, and we partook and we shared, and it was a moment I shall forever remember in my life. So that was the Bay receiving us with open arms, and I have no more words for that.
Right. Connecting with the past there, almost. Instead of reading about it in a book, you get it living. You also got to go on to KEXP, right? Did a live session.
Yes.
How did that go? How did that work out? I mean, that's the exposure
studio.
you want, right?
Yes, KEXP is one of the big ones, and doing the Lord's work, I would say, in promoting original, heartfelt, honest music of every kind and genre and nationality. And we got to meet Cheryl, and the studio is very welcoming, and they make you really feel at home, and they're very free. It's like, it's not about us, it's about you. Express yourself as you will, as you would. And we had lots of fun, and things have changed for the band ever since we did that little video.
They radio at some point, I guess in the 80s in America, a couple companies bought up all the little stations, and instead of having a million little programmers, you ended up with one guy doing 90, 100 stations. And I feel like that really killed radio. But then you have a station like KEXP that, like you said, is out there saying, where's the new stuff? Let's give the people something different.
Yeah, and they do, and they approach it as massive as independent music can go, I believe. And the only one that's even close, it's NPR, and but
Mm.
it's different. So yeah, Seattle is it's a music town, and you can feel it, and that's where we're heading in 3 weeks.
We have station WTMD here in Maryland. That were part of Towson State at one time, which are in like an NPR kind of station, but same kind of idea. They'll have you listen to that, and it's nothing you're going to hear on any other station on the radio. So something to think about if you ever are
Yeah,
over on the.
the only thing, I don't think KXP is like the end of all of everything.
Right.
Rather than they took the smart approach of adding the visual element because we're such a visual culture now.
Mhm.
So if radio starts making video sessions, I think that's the way to go.
That is
That's
why that's why we're sitting here looking at each other live today instead
yes.
of like before when I we recorded and I released it as a pod. Pods are dead. Sorry to say, but what can we do? Last what was it? July of last year, you released your fourth album, Harvest, and it is a I would say an artistic milestone for you. There is such you can hear the progression as you're going, you guys getting tighter. I mean, infamously, I guess the backstory is you started during COVID and your bass player and your drummer, you guys kind of figured it all out together how this was going to be. They were learning on the spot there. You want to talk a little bit about Harvest and how we came to that?
Yeah, but those are two different stories. That the first one would be like when we were getting started back in 2020,
Right.
making macrocosm and just getting away from it all during the whole, the
Mm-hmm.
Black Plague and all of that stuff. But whereas Harvest was in a very different context for us. Rather, we were just starting getting on our first international tours, and then South by Southwest opened the gates of America for us, and we finally had the chance to work in a more grown-up setting with a decent advance. And with that money we could just rent a house for a month and go all three of us there and actually get into it and make an album in a month, pretty much, this house in the Colombian jungle, I would say, in the foothills that we got there. And we made a tropical, honest, and a more mature version of ourselves, and we're very proud of that record. And it has changed. Our lives have changed ever since.
Right. How did you approach it coming in? It was a little more collaborative maybe than some of the earlier records. How did that play out?
Oh, it was great. Pressure. I mean, some people flake with pressure, but I'm very comfortable with a gun to my head, and we were going on tour the month after, so we knew that we had to make a record, like a do or die situation, and we had a month to do it. And that was great because it put everybody. There were no distractions. The signal was very bad over there, and we could just really focus and get the job done. And we did. I'm able to make music on my own, but there is no way I'm gonna make an album on my own in a month. So there goes the band, and Santi and Joa gave their best, and I'm very happy that the environment pushed their artistic composing side a little bit more.
Right. It's on Mixto Records. You can find it over on Bandcamp. I feel like I may be wrong with this, but I feel like it's a song cycle, that there's a journey through it, that you basically have to listen to it front to back and you'll get a larger thing from it, a larger meaning.
Yeah, I mean, it's a vinyl experience. We love creating records and listening to them in a vinyl format, but we're also very aware of that we're the children of the algorithm, and we also make Spotify friendly songs. And I don't know, like this whole streaming thing is very important to us because that's what kept us alive and paid our rent while we couldn't tour.
Hmm.
Many musicians nowadays are always talking about the 3 cents that they get every month from Spotify, but I am not, but more than having a position in that debate, which is such a hot debate right now with platforms and stuff, I just got to say that we have received money from Spotify.
Right.
Spotify pays our rent, and it's not giving us a coffer full of gold, but it's actually a decent earning wage, I believe. And I gotta put that out there because everybody says, from Neil Young to small struggling independent artists, that Spotify doesn't give them anything. And I cannot vouch for anyone or anything. I can only say that we have received money from Spotify. So the platform pays, and the platform has helped us find thousands of fans. And we've also, that's how we work. That's why we release a song every month too, because we're part of the streaming game, I guess. So the
Right.
album works. I would love to know that if it works both in a streaming setting or in an
Oh,
album listening setting. I stretch
right.
myself there, but you know what I mean.
Well, I think maybe some people miss this, but Spotify doesn't sell music. It isn't trying to sell your music. They're trying to sell subscriptions. They just need something for people to come there and buy. And I think there's a disconnect sometimes with people because they're going to buy music. But what you're really buying is a subscription or listening to the ads if you don't pay.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, you know what? Sometimes it's quaint to not to have the ads like old time radio. You'd listen to two or three songs, they play a couple ads, you'd have some knucklehead give you the weather. You're
I'll
one of the
happily pay for my YouTube Premium or the Spotify Premium, and just
cut that
so.
out. So you have a new single out. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Well, it's Killing is just a small interlude piece I wrote while right before we were heading into our North American summer tour. And it was just that it was Kilig means in Tagalog, that's from the Philippines, it just means stomach butterflies. They actually have
Okay.
a word for it. And it's just like this nice little doodle, little tune right there. It's nothing that big. It was a very soft release, but it's part of the upcoming album. And what I could come up with under extreme pressure for 2024, which we had such an intense touring schedule. So that's what I could muster around
Right.
those times.
Do you get butterflies in your stomach before you go on?
Man, love is a powerful thing, and it hits you when you least expect it, I think.
Right. I've seen Bob Weir say that he still gets butterflies in his stomach before he goes on stage still.
Yeah, but well, I get excited. I've never been a I place I rehearse and play so much at home and rehearsals, so that I'm perfectly comfortable to go on stage, and I know
Right.
I'm gonna do the job. And yeah. But I've
Right.
heard those stories about Bob, that he still gets the frights and stuff. And some people, great musicians and artists, still do, I guess.
Yeah.
But what matters, I believe, is just stepping out there and doing your thing, even if
Right.
you're.
Maybe it keeps him real.
Yeah, Bob is pretty real. Look at the Kennedys. He was real.
Yes, you got a couple other things. You got a second single, "Mood Swing," that's coming out when 2 weeks from now.
February 21st,
Okay, so a
Friday.
month from now. About all
Yeah.
right.
But we
And
have a remix next week. A couple artists such as Bosk and Bay Ledges and two others. And we did our first remix. But you guys probably know Eric Krasno,
uh-huh.
and he has this side project with Otis McDonald called King Canyon. They released one album, and they're doing a remix version of their album. And I took a spin on one of the songs, so you're gonna hear both sides, like being remixed and to remix. And that's
Nice.
yeah,
Nice. Who is the other guy in King Canyon? There's one other guy, right?
Otis McDonald, if I'm not, if
Right.
I'm
Yeah, Otis McDonald.
yeah.
We talked to somebody from the band a while back from King Canyon. It wasn't Eric though. I've never been able to get Eric one. Tell him I said hi. So you did the album. It came out in July, and then you hit 18 shows in August across the U.S. There, that is a pretty heavy schedule for 1 month.
Yeah, yeah, definitely it was, but it was beautiful. We loved touring in America, and just crossing the whole country from the Pacific to the Atlantic, and it was just wonderful. And we hit many places that we weren't expecting, such as St. Louis in the Midwest, Oklahoma, Kansas City. So seeing both the big LA and New York, but also seeing other areas of America. I had a lovely time in Wisconsin. It really, as a Colombian, the only thing you know from Wisconsin is that '70s show,
Right.
and but the spirit was there. And some of my favorite Dead shows are from the Dane County Coliseum, though,
Yes.
in Wisconsin.
73. Yeah, 73.
You
Yeah.
know it. You know
Yes.
it. You know that playing in the band, man. Like
Yes.
some crazy stuff there,
Fantastic.
and that's very vibrant there. You could see that's still alive. And what was this festival? Orden Park Festival in Madison. Such a
Okay.
beautiful town and beautiful people, and they had something really beautiful going there in the cheese state.
Right. You got to spend some time driving. I'm assuming you did some flying, but I hope that you got to spend some time driving, because driving through America is weird but special, and one of
Yeah.
the coolest things I think that
It's
you
all
can
you
do
can
when you
only
come to this
do
country.
that in America, and
Yeah.
I dialed in 2,800 driving miles, and it was
Nice.
yes. I love.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you don't want to drive in Colombia after you've driven that.
Right.
It's just beautiful. It's beautiful. Only in America you can do that, like from coast to coast, and just drive it and all the way
Yeah.
through. The one
About
section, there was one section actually after San Diego, crossing the desert and heading towards Tucson, and that was and then crossing all of Arizona and seeing how the desert changes, heading into New Mexico and going to Santa Fe. And obviously, I'm playing all the Dead songs while I'm playing. Well, I mean, I'm putting some Jack Straw right there, some all of them, and we're so happy because we're only missing one song from Trucking. We've played in every song every city that's mentioned in Trucking, and except for New Orleans, we gotta hit NOLA this year. But other than that, we've done them all, and it's just very nice. We're very
right.
thankful.
You got to go do one of those gorilla moves and show up at Jazz Fest at some bar and be like, "Hey, can we play here tonight?"
Yeah, and cross it out. That is the last one, and just grateful that a country like the States has just received us with open arms, and we're grateful.
Right.
There's no
I live about 15 miles from where Route 70 begins. That goes all the way, I
yeah.
guess, through St. Louis and then all the way out to
I mean,
California. And
70. That's in Denver. We've crossed.
yeah,
We've used that one to go to Aspen. That we were going to drive on that one again because we're heading to Denver again. So
uh,
we've been on that
the-
one.
there, there's a sign that says 3,300 miles to whatever city is at the other end of it in the beginning. And I've
Yeah.
driven this far on it to Denver. I've never driven it all the way through Utah into California there, but all right, but we diverge. You have the new album. What are the set lists looking like? I mean, you keep adding all these new songs, or is stuff disappearing, or are you just making the pool bigger and just saying, hey, we can bust something special out the night that we haven't played in 2 weeks?
We're standing at 52 songs in the repertoire, and some have left, some have arrived, but we've just added up. My end goal to my band's dismay, because they it's just I want to reach 100. I wish 100 is a good number, and we're getting there. We're getting there. We have four albums worth of catalogs so that we can pull a very diverse nights. And I always check the set list, like if we play Denver, it's like, what did we play last time? And it's like, let's not play anything from that, like from that, and just do something different. And especially in Europe, we could actually experiment quite a lot with the set lists. And in true Dead fashion, something, because the Dead have never inspired the BALTHVS sound, but there are some philosophical things such as improvisation and transitions. One of my favorite aspects of the Grateful Dead music is how they transition between songs and have these moments to get them from one place to another. And that is something that we've really tried to explore with the band, and just going from one end to the other. And we can't wait to to do it in the States.
Right now, is this something that you guys practice? That you say, "How can we work on figuring out having these like tricks in our pocket? Maybe not necessarily a specific phrase, but working on it so you have the trick in your pocket to do."
Well, obviously I'm the one trying to push that idea, because I think both Santiago and Joanna come from a school of music where it's more about performing the songs as they are and performing them really well. And I'm also in that school, but I'm also like, as soon as the song ends or certain section of the song, let's kind of dissolve. Why don't we
Right.
dissolve? And improvisation can be very daunting for certain types of musicians, like Joanna especially. Well, it's an intimidating art, and but I love that we risk it. And yes, we're rehearsing it. I try to make it easy for them. Sometimes I put a curveball right in the middle of the show, and they're not so happy at me. But sometimes I was like, I was just feeling it, man. The people were, this guy in front of me, he was out there, and I had to go out there with him.
I love it. That's so fantastic. The album cover, the art for the latest album, that was you, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So have you always painted?
More than a painter, because I am not. I'm not a painter. I'm a collage artist, pretty much,
Okay, collage
and I'm
artist.
very
Okay.
good with digital tools, and that's how I've always made my album. But I've always been like, my job before being a full time musician was being a museum tour guide in Colombia, and one of the most beautiful museums in Latin America is the Botero Museum, which has everything from Dali to Picasso, Renoir, Lautrec, and Impressionists, Expressionists, Surrealists. And so you could really see that in my artwork. I hope
Mm-hmm.
that I come from an art background, and my mother used to be a painter. So I love doing the art, because we struggle with other things like video, but when it comes to art, I actually enjoy it a lot, and I just take a little bit from that. For example, the Harvest album cover is actually a picture from the Namib Desert in Namibia, a very unique place on the planet, and I just added my little drop of psychedelic surrealism to it, and that's it.
Right. It's fantastic. Now, is this something that you sell anywhere, or is that not something you can sell digital art? I guess you sell digital art with bitcoins or on chains or something. Like,
No,
isn't
I
that what
mean,
NFTs were?
the best medium would be the vinyl, and
The
that's how we
vinyl,
sell it.
right
The
by the
vinyl is,
album. There you go.
yeah.
Sometimes it's right in front of me and I don't see it. That's fantastic. So these two, the single that you are putting out is going to be from a fifth album. You guys are already looking forward, huh?
Yeah, I don't see any, even like, we've gotten a lot busier as people, and BALTHVS feels more like a small business now than a band, and like a DIY project. It is now a full-fledged small business with a team in multiple continents, actually doing the thing alongside with me, and we're just finding the time to keep it fresh, and also I feel these times are becoming even faster for musicians, because I don't know if you've noticed this trend in YouTube about AI albums. People just putting a couple prompts, and now they have an album worth of music and sharing it on YouTube, and that's what real life musicians have to compete with now. So so if before you had to keep the output going, I feel that for the future it's gonna get even faster. We're getting even faster now, and we also are using these tools as well. Like, it all started with the Beatles, when they had this vocal by John that they could never use because there was some old piano, and thanks to AI technology they could actually extract the vocal from that audio file and discard the piano, and now we can do that, and that really, well, accelerates the workflow in music. We're still composing the old fashioned way, but yeah, I'm
I
trying to.
I feel like they shouldn't have done that.
Well, I mean, what can you do? It's the last time they're gonna ever be
Right.
able to collaborate with their old buddy John. I mean,
I saw a recent video. Ringo came out with Paul. They did Helter Skelter and something else, and they brought out a little drum kit from Ringo. And I was like, "No, that's cool." So you're doing a song that's 55 years old.
yeah.
What
But
can
I
you
mean,
do?
I'm gonna cherish everything from all those old ransacks. Well, we have them because are gonna be gone in not so long, and just thankful for what they did. So I'm happy for them. And yeah, and
Yeah.
actually I was just using that as an example of how a
Right.
musician and a band can use AI in a positive way, I believe.
Right. Yes. Sure. Definitely. Yeah. I guess my thing is what you've already seen started to happen is musicians who did incidental music, musicians who did commercials and things that those avenues are closing off because of AI.
Yeah, but others are opening. I feel right nowadays it's never been easier to become more proficient in an instrument, because nowadays, like if I'm learning how to play guitar, I can use AI to extract the guitar part and listen to it intently and not be confused by other elements in the song. And the possibilities are endless for creative musicians. So it's gonna end up being a tool. And even though I love the horse, if the cars arrive and you're still on the saddle, you're gonna get left behind, I feel. But that's just my.
Right. Right. I read somewhere last year that in one day in 2024, as many albums were released as in the whole year 1989. And
Yeah.
that's crazy to me. And I guess it makes it that your story is so much better that you did break through all that noise. I mean, that's a lot of noise out there in order to, get through.
Yeah, I would say the way we kind of did it by force was just using social media to our advantage, and acknowledging that half the planet or even more is glued to their screen, their phone screen. So we just knew that where our music sat in the musical ecosystem of the world, and just reached out personally one by one to people, and we're like, hey, you might dig this, and people listen and they dig. And I guess there's always a luck or fate or whatever, but we made an effort there to use social media in a positive way out
Right.
of.
That was part of my pitch when I used to sell real estate. When I wanted people to be an agent, I was like, other agents do this, this, and that. What I do is pick up the phone and call other agents. And people are like, I love that. That's great.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you gotta do. You gotta just call the person and tell them in their face, like
Right.
directly. And
Right.
that has been our approach, which we I try to keep it very, always talk to our fans like on social media and stuff, because we're just grateful for them. They pay for our rent, and I'm so thankful, because I don't have to do. This is our profession, and I take it
Right.
very seriously. And I am aware that I'm one in a million of
Right.
musicians from all over the world that aspire to quit their day jobs and become the thing. And we've been the thing for half a decade, and I don't take it lightly. I'm just very grateful. It can
You
always
know,
change. And
you guys are coming back, right? America
yes,
coming back to the States.
in February 18th, we start our West Coast run in San Diego.
Right. And is it
Followed,
just West Coast or are you doing
we will
further
be
in?
we will be doing San Diego, Los Angeles, Denver, Seattle, Bellingham,
Ooh.
and Mexico for the first time on our first
Oh,
Mexican date.
nice. Nice. Way in Mexico City.
Nearby, it's a region called Morelos, and they
Okay.
have a festival there, an alternative music festival called Baidora, and it's going to be our first time there. Very excited for 2025. We're going to be first time touring in Latin America. Ironically, we never play in Colombia, so that's going to change this year, playing in the biggest festival in our country, which is called Stereo Picnic. Essentially, it's a Lollapalooza offshoot, but they preserve the Stereo Picnic name, and we're also going to play Lollapalooza Chile and Argentina.
Nice. Fantastic. LA, that's pretty crazy. You guys are going to go there, I guess, and see firsthand to the madness that was going on with
Yeah,
all the fires. Yeah.
yeah. Many of our friends were directly affected by the fire. Some have, the air pollution, and they have left the city for the time being. But well, fortunately, LA is a very wealthy city that has been able to provide for their people
Right.
and have houses being rebuilt. And yeah, hoping for the best. And just for our friends and fellow musicians, many musicians lost their studios and lost everything. So I'm very happy all these initiatives such as Guitar Center helping musicians get some instruments while they're recovering.
Right. At least give him a guitar.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Give him the guitars back, please.
Please.
All right, we're gonna put a bunch of links down in the bottom. You guys have your Bandcamp, which is fantastic resource if you want to get into the music. We'll put to your website with the tour dates so we can get some more people out to the shows. And is there anything else you want to throw out before we wrap up?
Well, yeah, I'd say that our website has been overhauled a little bit. Now we have a set list section, and you can see all of the set lists from last year. We play 80 plus shows, and you could see like what we played there, and some shows were recorded. We had a good fan of ours called John, and he's been quite busy on archive.org, getting some tapes and getting some things happening. We also recorded one of our favorite shows in Brooklyn. Back we played at Brooklyn Bowl in August last year, and then that now you can see the full concert there if you want to see how the band is sounding, like as of like recently. And we're also offering now tabs because as a millennial musician, I learned how to play guitar with tabs more than a music teacher. I just had Guitar Pro 5 back then.
Right.
And I learned the tabs, and a lot of our songs are notated, both tablature and just good old fashioned sheet music. So for any people that want to play guitar, play bass, and learn the parts, well, now you can find and get to those things there from the BALTHVS catalog.
There you go. That's fantastic. I love the set list thing. I mean, for me, I know I mentioned set list earlier. I love looking at set list and seeing how songs change, like openers. All of a sudden they'll appear at the close a set, and then it never moves from closing a set again. And you're like, why? What happened in between that 6 day period? You know?
I'm coming from the same place, so yeah, I think it's nice to archive. It's
Yeah,
something nice.
no, that's great. You're on archive.org too, though. That's one of we're struggling here, and that's one of the last bastions of unfiltered, where you can find
Like the
unfiltered
old
stuff.
internet. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's old internet right there, and Wikipedia, archive. These
yeah,
are free places in the
right,
world that are still left.
exactly.
Definitely not Twitter.
Right, definitely not Twitter. Now, I'm big on Blue Sky. If you guys ever end up on Blue
we
Sky,
are we have to make the jump. We've heard about it so much, but we've been so busy that it's
yeah.
yeah, definitely gotta hit Blue Sky.
It reminds me of Twitter in 2011 or something, when it was a free for all. I mean, you can find whatever you want
Yeah.
on Blue Sky pretty much. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming back
No,
and catching
man.
up with us. I am just so in love with watching how your career's going, and I'm gonna have to figure out at some point how to get out to see you. I'm on the East Coast. That's weird. You're doing the 18th is doing in the tour because that's my birthday, but I'm like
We
3,500
are
miles away.
as the last thing because I know we were under time, but we're heading to the East Coast this year at Green River Festival in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So we're gonna be there because we don't forget about the East Coast and we want to venture up there.
Right. You don't want to be known as a West Coast band. Have
Definitely
you ever
not.
have you ever heard the whole thing with Fish? The West Coast people are like, Fish never plays out here. And so when they do all the East Coast people are like, why no East Coast shows? What's going on?
No, we've definitely been trying to flying from the States to Portugal and then to
Right.
Hungary and playing at these places like Romania. And so we're in the international thing and
Right.
we love it everywhere.
How were you received in Europe?
Oh, great. The European crowds are, well, they have their whole culture thing. They're also sophisticated. Me, I'm Colombian, and much like our American brethren, we're party people, and we drink and we dance, and people get high and scream and yell and are loud. Whereas you go to Norway and it feels like a recital, and people are very quiet and they're concentrated on your music, and you finish the song and it's dead quiet, and it's like, what is going on? Did
We
they
blew it,
hated
guys.
it?
We blew it.
We suck, man. What happened? But no, they said no, they actually completely love it. But their way of appreciating music is more like silent respect and things, and it's a completely different thing. And London is different though. London is also is rowdy and just playing these iconic places such as the 100 Club and Jazz Cafe, places where the Stones and Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck and all these people have played, and you feel it, man. You feel the history in those halls, and it's just been quite a ride, and very happy that this little
Do
Colombian
you
man made it
do
that
you have a
far.
list of venues you want to play?
Yeah, I try to keep it. It's like when you wish things, better keep it to yourself. Like I'm heavy on the only one I would verbally say, so we can all get there soon. Is manifesting a
You
Red
say
Rocks.
afterwards. That's the first thing you do on Blue Sky after we finally got our gig at whatever place.
Yeah, but I would say Red Rocks remains among one of like a hallowed place in the planet in terms of venues, and I've been there, I've seen music there, and I would love to be on the other side in
I,
whatever
I I
condition, you know.
often wonder if there's like energy lines that cross right at that section, like from six
Man,
different directions or something, and
Jesus.
that's like the center point.
Yeah, that place is something it's just beautiful that it exists, and the Colorado people are just wonderful. One of my favorite places in America.
All right, well, we need to get you into Tipitina's in New Orleans because that place is like the navel of the universe. It's just dripping with the stuff.
All that Mardi Gras energy.
Yeah, well, Professor Long here, I guess, started it, but I mean, God, this band Galactic bought it. It's fascinating in like January of 2020, and then they had to shut it down right after they bought it, Tipitina's.
Oh,
And then they started doing web streams and they made it through. It's thriving now, but it was just, I was always like, God, that's the worst luck in the world. You buy a club and then you have to shut it down 2 months later for a
well,
year.
it's the reality for a lot of people, but I'll check it out. I had no idea about Tipitinas, you know?
Oh, yeah. Tipitina, they have a huge banana. And when you Google it, you're going to see like a thing with a huge
Okay.
banana.
Okay. I'll check it out.
That's their,
I'll check it
but
out.
yeah, that place is, God, I saw so many shows there over Jazz. It's just a fantastic, old school dive bar. They don't serve food or anything. It's alcohol and a stage, but you know,
Sometimes that's all you need, you know?
that's all you need. That's all you need.
Yeah,
Oh man,
indeed.
I love you so much. You are just so fantastic.
Thank
We're gonna
you.
have to
Thanks for
talk
having
again
me.
sometime soon. If I can get up there in to Massachusetts, though, I will definitely shoot you an email beforehand and let you know. Maybe I can run into you, actually meet in person.
Please,
Yeah,
you
definitely.
are our guest. Indeed, I
Definitely.
mean it.
So, everybody out there watching, make sure you find us at All That Jam Pod on all the social medias. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video. And remember, stay beautiful, but don't stay underground too long. We'll see you
Indeed.
next time.